"Why don't you love my daughter, human?" the alien queen asked. I responded, "She's too beautiful." Captain Marcus Chen stepped out of his small Earth shuttle and looked up at the most amazing building he had ever seen. The palace of Queen Zerathel rose high into the purple sky of planet Luminara like a mountain made of pure crystal. The walls glowed with soft light that changed colors from blue to gold to silver. It was beautiful, but also a little scary. Marcus walked slowly toward the main entrance. His boots made small clicking sounds on the smooth stone path. He wore his best diplomatic uniform, dark blue with silver buttons, and the Earth Federation symbol on his chest. This was the most important mission of his life. Earth needed this alliance with the Luminari people. The tall guards stood beside the massive doors. They looked like humans, but their skin glowed with inner light. Their eyes were like stars, bright and endless. When they saw Marcus, they bowed their heads. "Captain Chen of Earth," one guard said. His voice sounded like music. "Queen Zerathel is waiting for you." The doors opened without making any sound. Marcus walked into the palace and gasped. The inside was even more beautiful than the outside. The ceiling was so high he could barely see it. Columns of light rose from the floor like frozen waterfalls. Everything sparkled and shined. Other beings moved through the halls. Marcus recognized some species from his diplomatic training. There were the tall, gray Zentari with their long necks. The small, furry Kelpins scurried between the larger beings. Red-skinned Vortakians stood in groups, talking in low voices. All of them seemed happy and peaceful. But what surprised Marcus most was how they all acted. Every alien in the palace moved like they were in a dream. Their eyes were wide and filled with wonder. They smiled constantly. Some of them just stood still, staring at nothing with silly grins on their faces. Strange, Marcus thought to himself. They all look enchanted. A Luminari guide approached him. This one was female, and her light was softer than the guards. "Please follow me, Captain Chen. The queen will see you now." They walked through many corridors filled with art and beautiful objects. Marcus saw paintings that seemed to move on their own, statues that glowed from within, gardens with flowers that sang quiet songs. Everything was perfect, too perfect. Finally, they reached the throne room. Marcus had to stop and catch his breath. The room was enormous, with walls that seemed to be made of captured starlight. In the center, on a throne that looked like it was carved from a single diamond, sat Queen Zerathel. The queen was the most beautiful being Marcus had ever seen. Her skin was like moonlight on water. Her hair flowed around her like liquid silver. When she moved, colors danced in the air around her. Her eyes held the depth of space itself. Around the throne, dozens of aliens from different worlds knelt or stood in worship. Their faces showed complete adoration. Some held gifts, rare metals, precious stones, works of art. Others simply stared at the queen with tears of joy in their eyes. "Captain Marcus Chen of Earth," the queen said. Her voice was like the sound of wind through crystal caves. "Welcome to Luminara." Marcus walked forward and stopped at the proper distance. He did not kneel like the others. Instead, he gave a respectful bow. "Your Majesty, thank you for receiving me. I bring greetings from Earth and hope for friendship between our peoples." The queen smiled, and the light in the room seemed to grow brighter. "I have heard interesting things about humans, Captain. You are new to our galaxy, but already you make quite an impression. We hope to learn from older, wiser civilizations like yours," Marcus replied politely. Queen Zerathel stood up from her throne. As she moved, the aliens around her sighed in happiness. "Tell me, Captain, what do you think of my daughter?" Marcus looked confused. "Your daughter, Your Majesty? I have not had the honor of meeting her." "Oh, but you have," the queen said with a mysterious smile. "She has been watching you since you arrived." Suddenly, a new light appeared in the room. It grew brighter and brighter until it took the shape of a young woman. Princess Velana materialized beside her mother's throne, and every alien in the room gasped and wondered if the queen was beautiful. The princess was beyond description. She seemed to be made of pure starlight and dreams. Her beauty was so perfect. It almost hurt to look at her. Her skin glowed like pearls, and her eyes held all the colors of the rainbow. When she smiled, it was like watching the birth of a new star all around Marcus. Aliens fell to their knees. Some began to cry. Others reached out toward the princess as if trying to touch something. Holy, the Centauri ambassador dropped his carefully, prepared gifts, and just stared. A group of Kelpin traders hugged each other and wept with joy. But Marcus just stood there, looking at the princess with calm, respectful attention. He bowed to her as he had to her mother. "Your Highness, it is an honor to meet you." The queen watched Marcus carefully. Her bright eyes narrowed slightly. The princess looked surprised, tilting her head like a curious bird. "That is all, Queen?" Zarathel asked. "Just an honor." "Yes, Your Majesty," Marcus said, looking puzzled. "Should there be something more?" The queen stepped down from her throne. The light around her grew darker, more serious. "Captain Chen, in all my years, every being who has looked upon my daughter has fallen instantly in love. The Centauri offered us 3-star systems for just one dance with her. The Vortakian Empire proposed a union that would have made her empress of half the galaxy. Even the proud Kelpins, who normally care only for trade, have sent poets and singers to win her heart." Marcus looked around the room at all the aliens still staring at the princess with worship in their eyes. "I can see why, Your Majesty. The princess is clearly very beautiful." "Beautiful?" The queen's voice rose slightly. "Captain, she is perfection itself. She is the living embodiment of grace and wonder. Yet you stand there as if you were looking at a pleasant sunset." The princess spoke for the first time. Her voice was like silver bells in a gentle breeze. "Mother, perhaps humans see beauty differently than other species." "No," the queen said firmly. "Beauty is universal. Love is universal. Every species in this galaxy recognizes perfection when they see it." She turned back to Marcus, her eyes flashing with something between anger and confusion. "So I ask you directly, human, why don't you love my daughter?" Marcus thought carefully before answering. He could feel the weight of this moment. The future of Earth's relationship with the Luminari might depend on his next words. "Your Majesty," he said slowly, with the greatest respect, "she's too beautiful." The throne room fell completely silent. Every alien stopped breathing for a moment. The Princess Velana's perfect mouth opened slightly in surprise. Queen Zarathel stared at Marcus as if he had just spoken in an unknown language. "Too beautiful?" The queen repeated slowly. Her voice was barely a whisper. "How can someone be too beautiful? That makes no sense." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. He had never tried to explain human psychology to aliens before. "Your Majesty, I understand this. Sounds strange. Let me try to explain." The queen gestured for him to continue. Round them, the other aliens leaned forward, desperate to understand this impossible human. "In human psychology, we have something called the uncanny valley," Marcus began. "When something appears almost perfect, but not quite natural, it can make us feel uncomfortable instead of attracted." A tall Centauri ambassador stepped forward, his long neck curved as he looked down at Marcus. "But Captain Chen, Princess Velana is not almost perfect. She is perfect. Every measurement, every curve, every detail is absolute perfection." "That's exactly the problem," Marcus said. He looked apologetically at the princess. "Your Highness, please don't take this as an insult. Your beauty is incredible, amazing, beyond anything I could have imagined. But for humans, when something is too perfect, our brains start to feel suspicious." Princess Velana floated closer to Marcus. Her light grew softer, more curious than hurt. "Suspicious of what?" Marcus rubbed his forehead, trying to find the right words. "We humans evolved to recognize what is real and what is not in our history. Things that look too good to be true usually were dangerous. Perfect beauty without any flaws makes our minds think this cannot be natural. This must be a trap." "A trap?" Queen Zarathel's light flashed brighter with anger. "You think my daughter is trying to trick you?" No, Marcus said quickly, raising his hands. "I know she's not trying to trick anyone. This is not logical thinking, Your Majesty. This is instinct, something built into human minds over thousands of years. When I look at the princess, My conscious mind sees incredible beauty, but my unconscious mind, the deep part that controls emotions, it says this is too perfect to be real. A small Kelpin trader tugged on Marcus's uniform. But Captain, look at her. How can anyone not fall in love? She is like a dream made real. Marcus knelt down to speak to the small furry being. That's just it, friend. She is like a dream. And humans know the difference between dreams and reality. We fall in love with real things, imperfect things, things that struggle and grow and change. The princess moved even closer. Marcus could feel the warmth of her light on his skin. You mean humans are attracted to flaws? Not exactly attracted to flaws, Marcus said, standing up again. But we need flaws to feel a connection. When I look at you, Your Highness, I see perfection. But perfection is distant, untouchable. It's like trying to love a star, beautiful to look at, but too far away to hold. The queen began pacing around her throne. Her footsteps left small sparkles of light on the floor. This is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard. Every species in the galaxy recognizes beauty. Every species understands love. But every species loves differently, Marcus replied. The Centauri fall in love with intelligence and wisdom. I've read that Centauri choose mates based on how many books they have written. The Centauri ambassador nodded proudly. Knowledge is the highest form of beauty. Marcus pointed to the group of red-skinned Vortakians. And the Vortakians fall in love with strength and honor. They court each other through combat and test of courage. A female Vortakian warrior stepped forward. True love can only be proven through battle, she said, thumping her chest with her fist. And the Kelpins, Marcus continued, smiling at the small trader, fall in love with generosity and kindness. They show affection by giving gifts and helping others. The Kelpins were fluffed up with pleasure. The greatest gift is a willing heart, he squeaked. Marcus turned back to the queen. Every species has evolved different ways to recognize a good mate, a good partner. For humans, we look for authenticity, for realness, for someone who has lived and learned and grown. Perfect beauty tells us nothing about a person's character or soul. Princess Velana was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was thoughtful. You are saying that my beauty actually prevents you from seeing me as a person? Marcus nodded sadly. I'm afraid so, Your Highness. When I look at you, all I can see is the perfection. It's so overwhelming that it hides everything else about you. Your thoughts, your personality, your dreams. I can't see any of that through the brightness of your beauty. The princess's light dimmed slightly. That is actually very sad. Queen Zerathel stopped pacing. Sad? How's this sad? You have been given the greatest gift in the universe, immunity to the most powerful force in creation. Is it really a gift? Marcus asked gently. Your Majesty, when was the last time someone had a real conversation with the princess? When did someone last ask her about her hobbies, her opinions, her fears, or her hopes? The queen opened her mouth to answer, then closed it again. She looked at her daughter with new eyes. Marcus continued. Every being who meets her falls instantly in love with her appearance. But has anyone ever fallen in love with her mind, her sense of humor, her kindness or wisdom? Princess Velana's light grew even dimmer. They don't, she whispered. They all just stare at me and say the same things. You are so beautiful. You are perfect. You are like a goddess. But no one has ever asked me what I think about anything. The other aliens in the room began to look uncomfortable. The Centauri ambassador, who had been ready to offer 3-star systems for one dance, suddenly seemed embarrassed. The Vortakian warriors, who had composed epic poems about her beauty, looked at their feet. Queen Zerathel sat back down on her throne heavily. I never thought about this before. I was so proud of the power our beauty gives us. The alliances, the gifts, the worship, power built on appearance alone is not real power. Marcus said softly. It's just influence. Real power comes from respect, trust, and genuine connection. The princess floated back to her mother's side. Mother, I think the human is right. I have been lonely my whole life, surrounded by people who claim to love me but don't even know me. Marcus bowed to both royal women. Your Majesty, Your Highness, I hope I have not offended you. I have great respect for both of you, but I cannot offer the kind of worship that other species give. What I can offer is something different, the chance to be seen as real people, not just as beautiful objects." The queen looked at her daughter, then back at Marcus. "This human way of seeing, it is very strange, but perhaps," she paused, thinking deeply, "perhaps it is also very valuable." 3 days after Marcus's shocking explanation, Princess Velana did something that had never happened in the history of Luminara. She dimmed her light. Marcus was sitting in the palace gardens, writing his daily report to Earth, when he noticed the change. The princess approached him slowly, her usual brilliant glow reduced to a soft, warm light like candlelight. She had also changed her appearance, making herself look more human-like with darker skin and brown hair. "Captain Chen," she said quietly, "may I sit with you?" Marcus looked up from his tablet and smiled. "Of course, Your Highness, please." He gestured to the crystal bench beside him. The princess sat down carefully, trying to move like a normal person instead of floating. "I have been thinking about what you said, about being too perfect, so I decided to try being less perfect." Marcus studied her new appearance, even dimmed. She was still incredibly beautiful, but now she looked more real, more like someone he could actually talk to instead of worship. "How do you feel?" Marcus asked gently. "Strange," the princess admitted. "Heavier, more solid, but also," she paused, thinking, "more real. Like you said, is this better?" Marcus shook his head. "Your Highness, you don't need to change yourself for me or anyone else. The problem isn't that you're too bright or too beautiful. The problem is that other people only see your beauty and nothing else. But you see something else now, don't you?" the princess asked hopefully. "Now that I look more normal? I see someone who is trying very hard to be something she's not," Marcus said honestly. "And that makes me a little sad." The princess's shoulders slumped. "I don't understand. I thought this would work." Marcus put down his tablet and turned to face her completely. "Your Highness, can I ask you a question? What do you like to do when you're alone?" The princess blinked in surprise. "What do I like to do?" "Yes, your hobbies, things you enjoy. What makes you happy?" For a long moment, the princess was quiet. "No one has ever asked me that before," she finally said. "Well, I'm asking now." The princess's light grew a little brighter as she became excited. "I love to create music. Not the formal music we play at ceremonies, but wild, strange music that tells stories. I compose songs about distant planets and impossible adventures." Marcus smiled. "That sounds wonderful. What else?" "I love to study other species and cultures. I have books and records from thousands of worlds. I know 17 different languages, and I'm learning more all the time." The princess was talking faster now, her enthusiasm growing. "And I love to solve puzzles and problems, mathematical equations, engineering challenges, philosophical questions." "Now that's interesting," Marcus said. "You're incredibly intelligent." The princess's face fell. "But intelligence doesn't matter when everyone is blinded by beauty." "It matters to me," Marcus said simply. Meanwhile, in another part of the palace, trouble was brewing. The ambassadors from various species had gathered in an emergency meeting. The Centauri ambassador, his long neck twisted with worry, spoke first. "This human is dangerous," he said. "If humans are immune to Luminari beauty, what does that mean for the rest of us?" The Vortakian war chief slammed her fist on the table. "Our alliance with Luminara is based on our admiration for their perfection. If beauty means nothing to humans, they could disrupt everything." A group of Kelpin traders chittered nervously. "What if the humans teach others to resist Luminari influence? Our trade agreements depend on the Queen's favor." The Centauri ambassador nodded gravely. "We must convince the Queen that this human is a threat before his strange ideas spread to other species." Back in the garden, Princess Velana had returned to her normal bright appearance. She and Marcus were deep in conversation about music theory when a messenger arrived. "Your Highness," the messenger bowed, "the Queen requests your immediate presence in the council chamber. There is an urgent matter of state." The princess sighed. More diplomatic meetings. I suppose. She turned to Marcus. Will you wait for me? We haven't finished our discussion about harmonic progressions. Marcus nodded. Of course. Your Highness, in the council chamber. Queen Zerethel faced a room full of angry alien ambassadors. They all spoke at once, their voices rising in panic and accusation. The human must be sent away. He threatens our ancient alliance. His immunity to beauty is unnatural. The queen raised her hand for silence. When the room quieted, she spoke calmly. Explain your concerns. The Zentari ambassador stepped forward. Your Majesty, for thousands of years, our civilizations have been united by recognition of luminary perfection. It is the foundation of galactic peace. If humans can resist your daughter's beauty, they might teach others to do the same. Chaos could follow. Princess Velana entered the chamber just in time to hear this. Mother, what is happening? The ambassadors believe Captain Chen is dangerous, the queen explained. They want him removed from the planet. The princess's light flared brightly with anger. Dangerous? He's the first person who has ever treated me like a real individual instead of a pretty object. The Vortakian war chief stood up. Your Highness, you don't understand. Your beauty is your power. It unites the galaxy under luminary leadership. Without that power, maybe people would follow us because they respect our ideas and wisdom instead of just staring at us. The princess shot back. The room erupted in shocked gasps. No one had ever heard a member of the royal family question the importance of their beauty before. Queen Zerethel studied her daughter's passionate face. Velana, what has this human done to you? He has shown me what it feels like to be seen. The princess said firmly, to be heard, to have someone care about my thoughts and opinions instead of just my appearance. The Kelpin traders whispered among themselves. One of them spoke up timidly. But Your Highness, if beauty doesn't matter, what would make anyone want to ally with Luminara? Princess Velana smiled, and for the first time, it wasn't just a beautiful smile. It was a clever, determined smile. Our advanced technology, our vast knowledge of the galaxy, our experience in diplomacy, our ability to help solve conflicts between other species. We have so much more to offer than just pretty faces. The ambassadors looked uncomfortable. They had never thought about what else Luminara might have to offer. Queen Zerethel was quiet for a long time. Finally, she spoke. These are interesting ideas, my daughter, but they are also very different from how we have always done things. Maybe it's time for things to be different, the princess said boldly. Maybe it's time for us to be valued for who we are, not just how we look. The queen turned to the ambassadors. You say the human is dangerous. But I wonder, dangerous to what? To our old ways of doing things, to relationships based only on appearance and power. The Zentari ambassador nodded eagerly. Exactly, Your Majesty. He threatens the natural order. Or, the queen said slowly, he offers us something new, something better, something real. The room fell silent as everyone considered the queen's words. Outside, Marcus continued to wait in the garden, unaware that his simple honesty had started a revolution that would change the galaxy forever. The next morning, Marcus found Princess Velana sitting alone in the palace library. She was surrounded by towering shelves filled with books from across the galaxy, but she looked sad and lost among all the knowledge. Your Highness, Marcus said gently, you seem troubled. The princess looked up from the ancient text she had been reading. Marcus, may I ask you something personal? Of course. On your planet Earth, how do humans choose who to love? If not by beauty, then how? Marcus sat down across from her at the crystal table. That's a good question. We fall in love in many different ways. He pulled out his tablet and showed her a picture. This is my sister Sarah and her husband Tom. She fell in love with him because he made her laugh every day, even when she was sad. The princess studied the photo. The two humans in it were ordinary looking, nothing like the perfect beings she was used to seeing. But their smiles were real and warm. They look happy, very happy. Marcus agreed. He showed her another picture. And this is my friend David with his wife Maria. They met when they were both trying to save an injured animal. They fell in love because they both cared about helping others. So humans fall in love with kindness and humor? The princess asked. Sometimes. But also with shared dreams, with courage, with intelligence, with the way someone treats children. Or animals, with how they face difficulties. Marcus scrolled through more photos. My parents fell in love because they both loved to build things with their hands. They worked together on projects and discovered they made a great team. The princess was quiet for a moment. In all my life, no one has ever asked me what I dream about, or what I care about, or what kind of person I want to be. Marcus leaned forward. So I'm asking now, what do you dream about, princess? Her eyes lit up with excitement. I dream of exploring the galaxy, not as a diplomatic symbol, but as a scientist and explorer. I want to discover new worlds, meet new species, learn their languages and customs. I want to solve the great mysteries of space and time. That sounds amazing, Marcus said with genuine enthusiasm. What else? I want to use music to bring different species together. Each species has its own musical traditions, but I believe there could be universal harmonies that all beings could enjoy together. The princess stood up and began pacing, her light growing brighter with passion. And I want to help solve conflicts between worlds using understanding instead of just the power of our beauty. Marcus smiled. Now that's the most attractive thing I've heard since I arrived on this planet. The princess stopped pacing and stared at him. Attractive? Yes, your passion, your intelligence, your dreams of making the galaxy a better place. Those things are beautiful in a way that goes much deeper than physical appearance. For the first time since Marcus had met her, the princess blushed. Her light turned a soft pink color. Really, Marcus said. This is what I meant about humans loving authenticity. When I see you talking about your dreams, I see the real you, and the real you is wonderful. Just then, Queen Zerathel entered the library with several worried-looking advisors. Velana, we need to discuss the situation with the ambassadors. They are becoming more demanding. What are they saying now, mother? The princess asked. One of the advisors, an elderly luminary with silver light, spoke up. They claim that if humans can resist our influence, other species might learn to do the same. They want Captain Chen removed from the palace immediately. And if we refuse? The queen asked. They threaten to break their alliances with us, the advisor said grimly. The Zentaris say they will close their trade routes. The Vortakians hint at military action. The Kelpins are talking about forming a new alliance without us. Marcus stood up. Your Majesty, I don't want to cause problems for your people. If my presence here is creating difficulties, I can return to Earth. No, Princess Velana said quickly, you can't leave. You're the first person who has ever really seen me. Queen Zerathel looked thoughtfully at her daughter, then at Marcus. Captain, show me these human ways of connection you speak about. How do humans form bonds without being overwhelmed by beauty? Marcus thought for a moment. Would you like me to show you some human art and culture, Your Majesty? It might help explain. Yes, do that. Marcus activated his tablet and projected a holographic display into the air. The first image was a painting of a woman with an imperfect but kind face. This is called the Mona Lisa, painted by Leonardo da Vinci. Humans have loved this painting for centuries, not because the woman is perfectly beautiful, but because of her mysterious smile and the emotion it makes us feel. The queen studied the image. She is interesting, not perfect, but compelling. Marcus showed them more art, sculptures with realistic human bodies, music that told stories of struggle and triumph, literature about people overcoming challenges. You see, Your Majesty, humans are attracted to things that show growth, change, emotion, and the journey of life. Princess Velana watched everything with fascination. These humans in the stories, they face problems, they make mistakes, they learn and grow. Exactly, Marcus said. We believe that struggle makes us stronger, that overcoming difficulties builds character, that learning from mistakes makes us wiser. The queen was quiet for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was thoughtful. Our beauty has always made life easy for us. Other species give us what we want without question. We have never had to struggle or prove ourselves, and because of that, Princess Valana added slowly, we have never really grown as people. The elderly advisor looked shocked. Your Highness, you are perfect beings. Why would you need to grow? Because perfection without growth is empty, the princess said, understanding flooding her voice. We are like beautiful statues, admired but never truly known. Marcus nodded. In human culture, we have a saying, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. We value the process of becoming better people more than being perfect from the start. Queen Zerathel began to pace around the library. So when other species worship us for our beauty, they are actually preventing us from becoming truly worthy of respect. In a way, yes. Marcus said gently, they love an image of you, but they never give you the chance to earn their love through your actions and character. The princess suddenly gasped, Mother, I understand now why I've always felt so lonely. Everyone claims to love me, but no one has ever given me the chance to be lovable as a person. The queen stopped pacing and looked at her daughter with new eyes. My dear child, I think this human has taught us something very important about ourselves. The advisor coughed nervously, Your Majesty. The ambassadors are still waiting for an answer about Captain Chen. Queen Zerathel's light grew bright and determined. Then let us give them an answer they will never forget. It is time to show the galaxy what Luminari are truly capable of, beyond just our beauty. Marcus felt a chill of excitement. Something big was about to happen, something that would change not just Luminara, but the entire galaxy. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Luminari Palace had never seen such tension. Representatives from dozens of species filled the crystal seats, all waiting to hear Queen Zerathel's decision. About the human problem, the air buzzed with nervous whispers and worried conversations. Marcus stood beside Princess Valana at the front of the hall. The princess had chosen to appear in her full radiant glory, but now her beauty seemed different somehow, more alive, more purposeful. Queen Zerathel sat on her throne, calm and regal, while her advisor stood nervously nearby. The Centauri ambassador rose first, his long neck stretching high above the crowd. Your Majesty, we await your decision. Will you remove this dangerous human from your court? Queen Zerathel stood slowly. Her voice carried clearly through the vast hall. Ambassador, you call Captain Chen dangerous, but I have been thinking about what makes someone truly dangerous. The crowd grew silent, leaning forward to hear every word. For thousands of years, the queen continued, our alliances have been built on one foundation, the power of our beauty to overwhelm and enchant other species. You have given us tributes, territories, and treaties, not because you respected our wisdom or valued our friendship, but because you could not resist our appearance. Murmurs of confusion rippled through the audience. This was not what they had expected to hear. Princess Valana stepped forward. What my mother is saying is that we have all been living a lie. The Vortakian war chief jumped to her feet. Your Highness, that is nonsense. Our admiration for your perfection is real, is it? The princess asked. Commander Thrak, in all the years you have known me, have you ever asked me a single question about my thoughts, my dreams, or my opinions? The war chief opened her mouth to answer, then closed it again. Her red face grew darker with embarrassment. Princess Valana turned to address the entire assembly. I have met with diplomats from your worlds for years. You have written poems about my beauty, offered me gifts, and promised me kingdoms. But not one of you has ever asked me what I think about the treaties you sign, or whether I agree with the decisions made in my name. A small Kelpin trader stood up, his furry face confused. But Your Highness, why will we need to ask? You are perfect. Surely perfect beings do not need to be consulted. That, said Marcus, speaking for the first time, is exactly the problem. All eyes turned to the human captain. Marcus took a deep breath and addressed the crowd. You have turned the royal family into beautiful statues instead of real people. You worship them, but you don't know them. You give them power, but you don't respect them as individuals. The Centauri ambassador's eyes narrowed. And you think this is wrong, human? I think it's wasteful, Marcus replied. Princess Valana is one of the most intelligent beings I've ever met. She speaks 17 languages, composes music that could unite different species, and has ideas for solving galactic conflicts that none of you have ever heard. Because you're too busy staring at her to listen. The princess's light grew brighter. With gratitude and determination, Captain Chen is right. I have spent my life being admired and worshipped, but I have never been allowed to contribute anything meaningful to our relationships with other worlds. Queen Zerathel nodded to her daughter, then addressed the assembly again. Today, we are announcing a new approach to galactic diplomacy. No longer will our alliances be based solely on the power of our beauty. Instead, we will build relationships based on mutual respect, shared goals, and genuine cooperation. The hall erupted in shocked voices. Some aliens seemed excited by the idea, but others looked frightened and angry. "This is madness," shouted the Zentari ambassador. "You're destroying thousands of years of tradition." "No," said Princess Velana firmly. "We're building something better." Marcus pulled out his tablet and activated a holographic display. "Your Majesty, with your permission, I'd like to show everyone what this new approach could look like." The Queen nodded, and Marcus projected a detailed plan into the air above the assembly. Instead of one-sided tributes to Luminari beauty, imagine partnerships where each species contributes their greatest strengths. The display showed different sections highlighting various species' abilities. The Zentari have the most advanced mathematical minds in the galaxy. They could help solve complex engineering problems. The Vortakians have unmatched military expertise. They could help maintain peace and security. The Kelpins have the finest trade networks. They could help distribute resources where they're needed most. A young Zentari in the back of the hall stood up excitedly. And the Luminari have advanced energy technology and centuries of diplomatic experience. Exactly, Princess Velana said, her enthusiasm infectious. Together, we could accomplish things that none of us could achieve alone. An elderly Kelpin trader raised his small paw. "But Your Highness, what about our current agreements, our tribute arrangements?" Queen Zerathel smiled. "Those will be replaced with fair trade partnerships. Instead of giving us gifts because you can't resist our beauty, you'll trade with us because we offer something valuable in return." Marcus showed another part of his plan. "We propose a new galactic council where decisions are made through discussion and voting, not through the influence of any one species' special abilities." The Vortakian war chief looked skeptical. "And you think this will actually work? That species will cooperate without the encouragement of Luminari beauty, Princess?" Velana floated down into the center of the assembly. "Commander Thrak, let me ask you something. Why did your people first approach Luminara for an alliance? Because of your overwhelming beauty?" "Of course," the war chief replied automatically. "But what did you hope to gain from that alliance?" The war chief thought for a moment. "Protection for our trade routes, access to advanced technology, help resolving our border disputes with the Zentari." "And did our beauty solve any of those problems?" the princess asked. The war chief looked confused. "Well, no. Those were solved through negotiations and agreements." "Exactly. Our beauty got your attention, but our actions and abilities solved your actual problems. Imagine how much more we could accomplish if we started with the solutions instead of the distractions." A remarkable thing began to happen in the assembly hall. For the first time in centuries, representatives from different species began talking directly to each other, instead of just addressing the Luminari royals. The Zentari mathematicians started discussing trade route calculations with Vortakian security experts. Kelpin merchants began planning resource distribution networks with Luminari energy specialists. Marcus watched the growing excitement in the hall and smiled. "Your Majesty, I think your people are ready for this change." Queen Zerathel stood and raised her hand for attention. "It is decided. Luminara will lead this new era of galactic cooperation, not through the power of our beauty, but through the strength of our character and the value of our contributions." The hall filled with cheers and applause, not the worshipful adoration that usually greeted royal pronouncements, but genuine enthusiasm for a shared future. As the assembly broke up into excited planning groups, Princess Velana approached Marcus. "Thank you," she said simply, for the first time in my life. I feel like I have the chance to earn respect instead of just receiving worship." Marcus bowed respectfully. "Your Highness, I have a feeling that this new galaxy you're building will be far more beautiful than the old one ever was." The princess smiled, and it was the most radiant expression Marcus had ever seen, not because of her supernatural beauty, but because it came from genuine happiness and hope for the future. Outside the palace windows, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, as if the galaxy itself was excited about the new era beginning on Luminara.